Good evening.
All right.
Eid Mubarak to
Hello.
everyone.
How you doing?
Hi, George. So, George, you were at the mosque today. Let us know.
Hello.
Tell us what is going on.
Well, the thing about it was, you see, how do I put this? A few hours ago, streaming about Islam Mosque just as they finished and were doing like the kind of, call to prayer, if you will, for Asr, which is the third prayer in a day. But there's a couple of different sort of. It's a particularly interesting Eid this year, not only because of the pandemic which is going on, meaning that Muslims across the world are not able to sort of worship in the normal way. They can't all go into the mosque and all worship. And that was something I found at the East London Mosque. Nobody there. In fact, the mosque itself is closed. Another interesting point, though, this year, also very current, is the fact that Israel even there were a bunch of posters by the East London Mosque of, all, kind of putting posters up like,
Yes.
somebody do something about Israel. This
Absolutely.
for faith. So it was a really good idea, but then technical problems meant that didn't quite work out as planned. Any
so
comments?
so what is the conversation people are having there? Any conversation in the lines of are celebrations different this year? How is it going with regard to the conversation with the Israel and Palestine?
Yeah. So the conversation, I think the real conversation at that spot, at the East London Mosque, sort of the way things were going, probably, I think it really does feel like it's the sort of the pandemic, just like the story of everything. The fact that sort of one of the biggest mosques in Europe, like the biggest mosque in London, it's like nobody there during one of the main sort of prayer times. Like,
Yeah.
that's unusual. It's especially unusual because Britain is lifting restrictions on lockdowns, and on Monday they're going to be lifting up a bunch more of them. The one that everybody's talking about is lifting the restrictions on things like museums, so we'll be able to go see them all again on Monday.
Awesome.
But yet Eid is today, which is Thursday, the week before, which has begged a lot of questions in many corners of like, why is the government, not taking account this religious holiday? Like, couldn't they have just lifted the restrictions, 5 days before, like, to make it so that Muslims could pray and worship and celebrate together, for Eid and the major holidays. They didn't. They kept they lifted some restrictions, but they've kept the ones that they're lifting on Monday today, even though today is the holiday.
Yeah.
Which is a bit unjust in my opinion.
So are there people in the mosque?
I suppose so.
What is the story around the people? Are people are still supposed to follow guidelines when celebrating, at least?
I mean, most people generally seem to be. I think in that area, like most people would generally kind of just it's was a little while ago that came out to really sort of solidify that, when you're out and about in the open, like masks don't make a huge difference. And so the government lifted a lot of restrictions on like, you have to wear a mask in these places when you're outside, especially. a little while ago, and so at first glance, if you just like not paying attention, you'd think like, oh, nobody's following restrictions. But actually, I noticed that a lot of people were doing efforts like making sure they be a bit more socially distant, and plenty of people were walking around on the streets. Of course, the petrol station across the street from there, where I ended up sort of buying my lunch, of course, that had all the full shebang. There was a thing for what's the word? Hand gel, sanitize your hands, the PPE wired, little face screen. So generally, sort of in Whitechapel, from like the very brief glance I got, the restrictions are still sort of generally followed such as they are. But why are the
So
restrictions
how
still there?
in
And
terms of
surely they could have
occupancy,
been eased or made more convenient for people sooner.
in terms of occupancy, George, what is the story there? Are people allowed only half capacity, or what is this? What is the occupancy that they're allowing for prayer times?
So at the moment, the way the mosque seems to be working is that for the normal prayer times, it's actually shut. So no prayer for your normal Islamic 5 times a day prayer. It does, however, advertise sort of a series of prayer rounds for this evening, in celebration of Eid Mubarak, but with like all of the different kind of rules that you could ever wish kind of listed up on there. No, make sure to set a certain distance from your fellow worshippers. Make sure you're wearing like your mask and all of this stuff. So the pandemic's really making itself felt at this spot.
What is the what are the people saying about it? Are people happy that they can celebrate at least up to a certain extent?
People didn't really have much to comment at the scene itself while I was there. Mostly
Right.
because they were sort of just going about their lives, walking past. It kind of makes sense. Like, you go up to someone and say, "Oh yeah, the thing which is closed. Are you sad that you're not in it at the moment?" It's like, what? If you're walking anyway, it's probably because you've got like some other stuff to do. And so nobody was really in a hurry to sort of like stay and chat. From the shore.
So is this the same precautions or guideline standards that every mosque has to follow, or is it only in certain towns?
From what I've been able to find, every mosque has these kinds of restrictions. Yesterday, and this might come out, though I released it until quite late. I was in the sort of Plaistow area. I was on Green Street, and I did a little quick report there on lots of people doing like an outdoors sort of henna tattoos, in anticipation for Eid at that time tomorrow. So it's today now, and that area, Newham's got quite a few mosques like looking at their rules every time I was there, and all of them had sort of similar guidelines, sort of posted on their doors saying like, oh yeah, make sure to do this and do that, when you're here, which makes me think that it's probably just following government rules, and that's it.
We have Udin commenting saying hello, hi Udin, pleasure to have you on the show here. If you've got any questions that you want to ask, feel free to message or comment on this. We can get this clarified real fast. We have George on the show for a few more minutes, and If you want to call us up, you can call us on our WhatsApp number. That is
I will say,
07852 473 473. You can also stream. You can view our videos on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask us, Udin. We've got George here breaking down what celebrations are like today in UK with Eid. So far, I don't think we have any further. But thanks, George, for getting out there and having a look at what is going on. Okay, George. So
at the moment, I'm just kind of just to sort of get out of the way, even though it's been like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
now. I went
thank
to
you for
East London Mosque
the
with
info,
quite
George.
a professional little rig. I'm not using it at the moment because it started to rain, and so I took shelter. Well, no, it's off. Yeah, great.
Right. So thanks everyone
in
for
dire need of, I don't know,
joining
just
in.
give me everything.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna play a couple of videos on who we are and what we do at Relaks Radio. Stay tuned.
Look.